We have a new best team in the NFL. We had a Super Bowl rematch. And most importantly, we had the most spectacular early game slate I've seen maybe ever. To start off, I just want to say that it is so good to be back. It's been a long journey to get back here. The last time I was in this booth recording a podcast for you guys was my sophomore year of college. I am now a senior. And no, this long road has not been a difficult one. It has been a tremendous journey. This past year, I spent my junior year abroad in Barcelona. It was an incredible experience, met some great people, had some great times, learned some new cultures, traveled new places, blah, blah, blah. You guys don't want to hear about all this. But it was an amazing year. This summer, I spent an internship at ESPN out in Houston, and that was an incredible experience as well. All of this to say, I am so excited to be back. And not only am I excited to be back, we have so much to talk about. There is so much that we need to catch up on. So let's just get started. We have a new best team in the NFL. We had a Super Bowl rematch. And most importantly, we had the most spectacular early game slate I've seen maybe ever. My three biggest games of the week, because we had some unbelievable games. And yes, this is week 2, and it's the first week I'm doing this. Week 1 was spectacular. Spectacular. It was nothing short of amazing. And somehow, some way, week 2 almost matched it, if not exceeded all of that. It was phenomenal to watch. Starting off, Jags Bengals. Obviously, huge injury news with Joe Burrow being out for the next 3 months potentially. And that's not what you like to see. But for the sake of right now, we're going to stick to the game. Jags Bengals. Jake Browning. He looked awfully amazing, or amazingly awful. However you want to say it, Jake Browning did what he needed to do. He secured the win for the Cincinnati Bengals. He had some moments where he showed a little bit of rustiness, a little bit of not ready for the moment. He had some ugly turnovers. But that being said, at the end of the day, Jake Browning got it done when it mattered most. The Cincinnati Bengals got it done when it mattered most. They pulled out with the win despite Jacksonville coming in with a whole lot of firepower offensively. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Etienne. Now they trade away Tank Bigsby. They have Bashal Tutin, who looked good, especially this past week against the Cincinnati Bengals. But I have some questions for the other side. T-Law, Trevor Lawrence, what are we doing? Get it done. You got Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, and now you got Cincinnati without Joe Burrow. That first half was an ugly first half for both sides. Trevor, this was your chance to prove that Liam Cohen was what you needed. You have the guys, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Etienne. You have the playmakers. Although I want to touch on that in just a second because maybe he doesn't have the playmakers. However, Trevor Lawrence was unable to get it done. He looked good at times. He looked rough at times. This was a matchup between Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, the number 1 pick in the 2020 draft and the number 1 pick in the 2021, and it turned into the number 1 pick in the 2021 draft versus a backup quarterback in Jake Browning, and he still couldn't get it done. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville. This is not Duval. This was Houday in Cincinnati, and you just didn't perform enough. It was a good performance. It was not enough of a performance. And that, at the end of the day, is the end of the story when it comes to Jacksonville. But it's actually not, because Brian Thomas Jr., are we watching a for real sophomore slump? Because he had some dropped passes that were surefire big-time plays in the game. He had one on 4th down where he wasn't guaranteed to get in the end zone. There was a Bengals linebacker who was going to come in and, he was going to give him the tackle. He was going to give him the shoulder real quick. But Brian Thomas Jr. dropped the ball. He was wide open for a first down to keep the drive alive when they were in the red zone. And he just dropped the ball. And what happened? Cincinnati and Jake Browning, Jamar Chase, they picked it up and they won the game because of that. Too many turnovers from both sides, to be fair. Jake Browning had too many turnovers. Trevor Lawrence had too many turnovers. This one wasn't on Trevor Lawrence. This one was on Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. was, last year, one of the best rookie receivers we've ever seen. Expectations were sky high for him. And he dropped the ball way too many times. 12 targets, 4 receptions. Brian Thomas, step it up. Liam Cohen is a phenomenal offensive mastermind, but he's got to make sure that he's getting the most out of his players right now, because that's not happening. But at the end of the day, the biggest note on this game is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's out for potentially 3 months with turf toe. Turf toe. It doesn't sound all that bad until you're like, what is turf toe? So you do some research. You see that it's a ligament in your toe, and he has got a grade 3 turf toe. Again, that kind of sounds like some elementary injury that I would hear from the nurse's office. Oh, you have turf toe. You can't play outdoor recess for today. Ice it. No, but like it's actually like a serious deal. Like this is like a legit injury. And because of that, Joe Burrow is potentially out for 3 months, which means he's out for potentially 12 weeks, which, if you're doing the math, is almost the entirety of the regular season. Joe Burrow was not the only piece to this Bengals team. The Bengals are a good team. Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase, they have so many guys who can perform. However, this team, without Joe Burrow, has lost its purpose, and they have lost a chance at the playoffs. I will already say that if Joe Burrow is out for the 3 months that we expect, the Bengals have a near zero chance to make the playoffs. The Jaguars, however, need to figure it out, because if they don't, they might be in the same boat. Moving on, next game of the week. I did this. I meant to do this. Second game of the 3 games of the week. Giants, Cowboys. I know what you're thinking. The Giants, they put up 6 points against the Commanders. The Cowboys, they look good, but how is that a game? They look good against the Eagles. They were supposed to smack the New York Giants. How is this a good game? Well, it wasn't, but it was. This game was a game that didn't have its first touchdown until 5 minutes and 37 seconds left in the second quarter. This game was 17-16 going into the fourth. It ended 40-37 in overtime. This was one of the most back and forth chaotic games I have seen in a long time. Russell Wilson put up numbers. He had a career day, yet he also cost the Giants the game. How does that make sense? Stay tuned. Let me just break down how this fourth quarter went, because for a long time, this game seemed boring. No one wanted to pay attention to it. With 2 minutes and 44 seconds left to go in the game, Wan'Dale Robinson scored a touchdown. Giants take the lead. Coming right back the other way, the Cowboys scored a touchdown. George Pickens with 52 seconds left. You're thinking the Cowboys are up. This game is 4-point game, and the Cowboys are leading. There's less than a minute. No way the Giants are going to come back. Russell Wilson is washed. Mr. Unlimited this, Mr. Unlimited that. Well, how about this? A 48-yard deep bomb from Russell Wilson to none other than Malik Neighbors. He might be a top 3 receiver in the league, and I know CeeDee Lamb was on the other side. He might be 3 too. The two of them were going back and forth, and Malik Neighbors, he is special. He is a true wide receiver 1 in this league. And Russell Wilson was able to find and connect with him for a touchdown, bringing the Giants up to 3-point lead. Right after that, there's 25 seconds left to go. The Dallas Cowboys are able to drive to get Brandon Aubrey, their glorified kicker, a 64-yard look to tie this game. And what does he do? Of course, he sinks it. Brandon Aubrey sinks a 64-yard field goal to tie the game and send it to overtime. In overtime, Dallas wins possession. They punt it away. New York gets the ball. They punt it away. Dallas punts it back. New York with a chance to win, and what does Russell Wilson do? Throw maybe the worst interception I've seen in a long time. There was nobody close except for the Dallas Cowboy safety who was able to pick it off. It was such a tremendous game. He was having the game of his life. 450 passing yards. 23 rushing yards on the ground. He almost had 500 yards himself. And the way he caps that off is with an interception. Oh, Russell Wilson. What are you doing? You just had it all and you threw it all away. And of course, this game is going to end with a Brandon Aubrey field goal. Of course it is. Dallas would go on to drive, kick a field goal with 0 time left on the clock. and Brandon Aubrey won this game for the Dallas Cowboys. This game ended 40-37. It was absolutely the most abnormal ending to what seems like such a piss-poor game. It was pure chaos. It was peak entertainment. It was phenomenal. As Martin Scorsese said, absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. That is what this game was. Meanwhile, both of these games, the Jags, Bengals, and Giants, Cowboys, were going on at the same time. Another two games, these are my honorable mentions that were going on at the same time, were 49ers Saints and Pats Dolphins, my two honorable mentions of my 3 games of the week. All 4 of these were going on at the same time. If you were watching Red Zone, you had to shout and scream and point to which screen to look at that current moment to see what play was happening, because there was so much going on in all of these games all at the same time. It was so entertaining. This is what I'm talking about. This is why you love the game. This is why you watch NFL Red Zone. This is why. It was phenomenal. And this is going to take me right into my third and final game, because this week was chaos, and this third game was nothing short of the same. It was absolute chaos through and through, especially at the end once again. Broncos, Colts. This game, coming off of a huge win, the Indianapolis Colts were looking to take on the Denver Broncos. Last year's one of the more improbable teams last year to make the playoffs. That did. Bo Nix led them as a rookie in a phenomenal season, and the Broncos had high hopes coming into this year. The Broncos and Colts face off in Indianapolis. Someone take a DNA sample of Daniel Jones, please. Oh my God. He looks like he might be like an elite quarterback now. Like, genuinely. He genuinely might be an elite quarterback now. He is the second most passing yards in the entire NFL so far. Keep in mind, it's 2 weeks, and there's still 4 teams who haven't played yet, because there's 2 Monday Night Football games, which is unique. But Daniel Jones, oh my God, someone take a DNA sample. I don't think that's him under that helmet. That can't be him, because the Daniel Jones that I know that was on the Giants and the Daniel Jones that we're watching on the Indianapolis Colts, that's not the same guy. He had 316 passing yards and 2 total touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, the backfield duo between Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor might just be everything Colts fans could have possibly wanted. He had over 200 yards from scrimmage to add on a touchdown. The two of them looked phenomenal. They really did. And this Broncos defense, people were saying, was the best defense in the league coming into this year. And I have a new best defense in the league, but I thought that it was the Broncos defense before this season started too. And it just was a phenomenal, phenomenal game. Bo Nix, he turned it around too. Yeah, he had some question marks after week 1, but I really think that he turned it around. He looked good. He had over 200 passing yards himself. He also added 20 on the ground. He had 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but 3 touchdowns over 200 yards. He looked fine as a quarterback. It was more the 3 touchdowns that stand out to me rather than the 200 yards. But that game was just phenomenal. J.K. Dobbins in the running back room clearly is leading the way. R.J. Harvey, those of you who drafted him thinking he would be high, 5 rushes, 8 yards. J.K. Dobbins, 14 rushes, 76 yards, and a touchdown. And Troy Franklin. He looks good. He's solidifying himself as a legit wide receiver 2 behind Courtland Sutton, who had a quiet day, but Troy Franklin, he did not. 8 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown. But the real reason that this game was as spectacular as it was the absolute chaos. And I keep using that word, but I'm gonna keep using it because it's so fitting. But the real reason this game was chaos was because of what happened at the end of the game. Check this out. Colts, down 2. Spencer Schrader, their kicker, lines up for a 60-yard field goal. I'll show you so you can watch along. Roll it! Schrader lines up, kicks the ball, and it is wide right. No good. Watch the Colts mascot as he falls to the ground in disbelief. But what's the flag? A leverage penalty. Have you ever seen that in your life? Spencer Schrader now has a 45-yarder that he kicks right through the uprights as time expires. The Colts mascot dances and celebrates in awe, an incredibly weird and unusual end to a phenomenal game. Colts ended up winning that game on that kick, 29-28 against the Denver Broncos. And I know what you might be thinking. And yes, it's true. The Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, are legit. Keep that in mind throughout this season. The Indianapolis Colts are legit. Anthony Richardson, no more. Daniel Jones, yes, please. And this showed why. Not because of the missed 60-yard and the leverage penalty to win, but the fact that this resilience, this team, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, even Spencer Schrader, the entire team is building momentum. They are building up momentum. And it is coming through, and we just saw it. The Colts are now 2-0, leading their division as they move forward into this season. And as we transition from some of the craziest, most chaotic games that I've seen in a long time, let's talk about some shockers that we saw this week. My biggest shock of the week, some honorable mentions first. Russell Wilson, I talked about him. What a performance. 450 yards in the air, plus some more on the ground. That was the career high for the former Seahawk, the former Bronco, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, and the current New York Giant. There was the career high for him. Wow, what an incredible performance from Russell Wilson. He didn't get the win because at the end of the game, he threw the pick, but that was a real shocker. Seeing that Russell Wilson can really throw the ball downfield and get the sticks moving, because that's what he was doing all game long against the Dallas Cowboys. Just he couldn't come up with the win. This week, I'm going to be doing something different because I just can't pick one. There are two big shocks of the week, and I got to mention both of them. I'm going to start out with the team that was coming off 3 straight Super Bowls and a Super Bowl loss this past season against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're done. Their dynasty over, kaputs, over, finito. They're done. The Kansas City Chiefs dynasty is no more. Without Xavier Worthy, without Rashee Rice, they are struggling. Travis Kelce has not looked good. He cost Patrick Mahomes an interception. He had the chance to score a touchdown when the game was almost on the line. That would have given them the lead. Harrison Butker missed a field goal early in the game. That's 10 free points that you could have had in a game where you lost by 3. The Kansas City Chiefs are done. They're struggling without Worthy and Rice. Kelce, his head is not in the game. Offensively, they don't look good, and their defense, as okay and good as they look, they're not the elite Kansas City Chiefs defense that we have known that has helped them get to such a phenomenal peak time in and time out. They are no longer that defense. They are no longer that offense. They are no longer that team. The Kansas City Chiefs are done. And looking at their schedule, I don't think it's crazy to say the Kansas City Chiefs will not make the playoffs for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career. Their schedule is tough. Looking at their schedule, next week they face the Giants. That could be a win. Against the Ravens, I don't think that's going to be a win. Jaguars, that could be a win. And against the Lions, I don't think that's going to be a win. It's not crazy to say that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be 2-4 once Rashee Rice returns. But I don't even know if that's enough. They play the Raiders, the Commanders, the Bills, the Broncos, the Colts, all of those teams have proven to some extent that they can win a football game because all of those teams have wins on the year so far. The Raiders, we'll see what they do tonight, Monday Night Football. The Commanders, we'll see how they turn it around after that horrendous game against the Packers. The Bills, we know they're good. The Broncos, we know they're good. The Colts have proven now that they're good. The Cowboys, that could be a win. But then you have the Texans. They're a good team. The Chargers, who have already beat them. Then you have the Titans. Then you have the Broncos again, and then the Raiders. There are a lot of potential losses on this schedule. I'm looking at least 6. And I don't think 9-8 is enough in the AFC to make the playoffs. And that's, I don't want to say best case scenario because I'm never going to say that with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But this is a tough schedule, and I don't know if the Kansas City Chiefs have it anymore. So that was one big shock from the week. But the biggest shock of the week is that we have found the new best team in the NFL. And it is not the Kansas City Chiefs. It is not the Philadelphia Eagles. It is not Buffalo, and it is not Baltimore. It is the Green Bay Packers. After watching what they did week 1 against the Detroit Lions, I was willing to blame it on the fact that the Detroit Lions were struggling early this season because of the amount of coordinators that they lost. They lost their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, their rushing game coordinator. They lost so many guys behind the scenes who were able to change that franchise from a pathetic franchise to the most entertaining team in the league. So I was willing to chalk it up to that, say, yes, the Green Bay Packers are good, but I think that the problems were more on Detroit. Until I watched Thursday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers made the Washington Commanders, who just looked, they had their problems with penalties week 1 against the Giants. They didn't look amazing, but they didn't look bad. They made the Washington Commanders look terrible. I have never seen, as a Washington Commanders fan, I have never seen Jaden Daniels look the way he did. He looked bad. And I don't say that lightly. Jaden Daniels, I believe, is our franchise quarterback in Washington. He is going to be the reason that the Washington Commanders are going to be good for years to come. Part of the reason. But the Green Bay Packers, the way that their defense plays is so physical, so forceful, so demanding that they don't allow anything to fly offensively. They just faced two of the best offenses from last season, two of the best offenses that I believe will be this season, and made them look sorry. The Green Bay Packers are legit. They are the best team in the NFL, and until proven otherwise, they are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. They are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers look unstoppable right now. They are so good. And if you look at their schedule, ask you this. Let me ask you this. Who can beat them? Who can beat the Green Bay Packers right now? I'm not seeing a loss until maybe Detroit gets one back. I don't think Chicago's getting one back. Maybe Baltimore. But Baltimore's all the way at the end of the season. Who's going to beat them before Baltimore? Who? Answer me that question. Who? It's not going to be Philly. I don't think Philly's going to beat the Green Bay Packers. Philly has had some question marks. The Packers have not. Their offense, their defense, they look unstoppable right now. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. Moving on, Monday Night Football predictions. This time, there are 2 games. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off a really close win against the Atlanta Falcons versus the Houston Texans, who came off a pretty close loss to the LA Rams. This game is taking place in Texas, in Houston. H-Town. This is going to be one of those games that I expect to be a back-and-forth battle. If you remember, in C.J. Stroud's rookie season, the Bucs and the Texans faced off against each other. Do you remember what happened in that game? It may have been one of the most entertaining games I've seen in my entire lifetime. Do you remember in 2023, during C.J. Stroud's rookie season, when he went off, and so did the Buccaneers? This may have been the craziest game I've seen in my entire lifetime. And I know I was just saying that we have seen some crazy games this season alone, but this one will hold a special place for me. I will remember this game for a long time. Baker Mayfield had 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rachaad White had 2 touchdowns on the ground, 20 carries. Yada, yada, yada. The Bucs put up 37 points and lost. 37 points and lost. How is that so, you may be asking? Well, let's take a look at rookie C.J. Stroud and see what he did. 470 yards passing. 5 touchdown passes. C.J. Stroud took the world by storm, and he walked into Houston that day and he said, give me that. Give me that W, Baker Mayfield, because I want that. And I'm putting 5 touchdowns and 470 yards on your defense. And that's exactly what he did. 39-37 was the score. Houston Texans won that game thanks to C.J. Stroud. And if this Monday Night Football can even come close to that, we will be blessed. We will be blessed. Do I think it'll be 39-37? I do not. I don't expect C.J. Stroud to put up 470 yards and 5 passing touchdowns. I mean, that is just an absolutely absurd stat line that he will remember for a long time. I will remember for a long time. If you're a Houston fan, if you watch that game, you remember that for a long time. I hope we get something close to that. But the Bucs versus Texans, Monday Night Football, I think C.J. Stroud bounces back. Last week against the Rams, the offense struggled a little bit. The O-line didn't look the best, but their defense did. And I think that the Bucs struggled a little bit against the Falcons. Michael Penix Jr. almost put up 300 passing yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only reason they won that game was because Younghoe Koo missed a field goal that would have won them the game as time expired, but he missed. So the Bucs won. And I'm not saying that's the only reason, because obviously there's like a whole game, but you get what I'm saying. Had that field goal gone in, the Bucs and the Texans would both be 0-1. I think they both end this game 1-1. I think the Texans get the win. I think C.J. Stroud looks better than he did last week, and I think has some resemblance coming back from his from his rookie season. I think there's some bit of C.J. Stroud that's been waiting, that's been brewing for a little bit of time, and I think today, Monday Night Football, he shows that is the C.J. Stroud that we are used to seeing, and that's the C.J. Stroud that I think that we're going to get. Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their offense is amazing, but I think that the Texans have one of the best defenses in the league, and I think when they're clicking that they have one of the best offenses too. And I think that we will see that today, at least a little bit, at least enough for the Texans to come out on top. Other Monday Night Football game, Chargers-Raiders. I know, we are 2 Monday Night Football games. Interesting. I mean, I'm not going to complain. You're never going to stop me from enjoying 2 games of football over instead of 1. I'm always going to root for 2. However, it's still a little odd. Chargers-Raiders. Chargers. I know I didn't say this because this is the first episode I'm back. But Justin Herbert, no, come here. Listen to me close. Justin Herbert is elite. And he proved that last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Herbert, by the end of the season, will be an MVP caliber player. People will put him on the same tier as Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, as a game changer who can win you a game, because that's what he did last week. That's what he's going to do this week against the Las Vegas Raiders. The LA Chargers are going to win this football game. And it's not because I don't think the Raiders are good. I think the Raiders are going to be a decent team this year. I think it's because Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback, and he will prove again why tonight. He proved it last week. He's going to prove it again tonight. Justin Herbert, mark my words, is an elite quarterback. When you talk about the guys at the top, you talk about Mahomes, you talk about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. And then everyone says that there's a drop-off. That next tier of guys is flip-flop. You could put anyone anywhere you want. No, you cannot. Justin Herbert is the next guy. It goes in no order: Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Burrow. Justin Herbert, make no mistake. Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback. I've said his name a lot. I hope this sticks with you, because Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback, and he will prove it again today. He will prove it throughout this season, and by the end of the season, Justin Herbert will have an MVP caliber season. Yes, I said it. Mark my words. Come back to this at the end of the year and see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not. That takes us into next week, as the Texans and the Chargers, I believe, will win these games tonight. I think the Chargers defense is good enough to stop the Raiders offense. I know Geno Smith looked great in his first game as a Raider. I think Justin Herbert will be able to outperform and outshine Geno Smith and the Las Vegas Raiders for the Texans. I think that their defense is going to be able to slow down the Bucs enough. I don't think the Bucs' defense is going to be able to slow down the Texans enough. So Texans, Chargers are my 2 takes on who's going to win Monday Night Football. And where does that leave us? That leaves us done with week 2. Moving in to week 3. Next week outlook. What are the big games? What do I want to see? What am I looking forward to watching? Not only what am I looking forward to watching, what should you be paying attention to going into next week? Going into next week, Raiders, Commanders. This might be a little bit of a bias thing to put in there, because I know I'm a Commanders fan, but I want to know, how does Washington bounce back? Am I right? Is Green Bay the best team in the league and they just make teams look sorry, which is what happened to the Lions and what happened to Washington? Is that what's going on? Or are there some bigger problems at the helm for the Washington Commanders? Is Jaden Daniels going to bounce back? We haven't seen a loss like this where Jaden Daniels has been able to come back the next week. Yes, that happened in the NFC Championship against the Philadelphia Eagles, but there was an entire offseason until week 1 and his return. Now we're seeing it in week 2 against the Green Bay Packers. Can they come back against the Las Vegas Raiders, who we don't know how they're going to perform tonight? We know how they performed last week against the Patriots. They look good. Geno Smith looked good. Washington is going to have to bring their A game to win this game. Can they bring it? That's the question, and I want to know. Is Jaden Daniels going to come back, and is he going to bounce back? That's what I want to know. Next game, rematch of the NFC divisional round, Rams versus Eagles. This is going to be a phenomenal game. At least I hope so, because Philadelphia has struggled a little bit to start this season. The Rams have had some struggles to start this season as well, yet both teams are 2-0. I want to know which of these two teams comes out on top. Have the Rams learned from their mistakes against the Eagles in the divisional round last year? Have the Eagles been able to pick up where they left off last season now that they started the season 2-0? What is going to happen with these two teams? Both great defenses, both great offenses. I want to know who gets on top. That's going to be a game to watch. Texans, Jags, CJ Stroud. I know he's playing tonight, and I hate to add another game where there's a team playing that plays tonight because we've only seen 1 week of them. But I want to know, can CJ Stroud bring it back? Is he going to have a prove-it game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight? Is he going to have a prove-it game next week against the Jaguars? We just saw Joe Burrow perform well when he was playing before he got hurt. And then we saw Jake Browning come in. And aside from a few really, really, really poor turnovers, Jake Browning looked good. The Bengals got the win. Can CJ Stroud look good and get the win for the Houston Texans against the Jaguars? Can the Jaguars bounce back after to be frank, sorry loss against the Cincinnati Bengals and their backup quarterback, Jake Browning? Can Trevor Lawrence come back? And this Texans defense is no joke. This is going to be a real test for Jacksonville, and I want to know, do they have enough? Is Trevor Lawrence the answer? That's a question that we don't know the answer to at this point in time. We don't know if CJ Stroud's the answer. Well, we know he's at least better than Trevor Lawrence at this current point in time, but I want to see both of them. And I want to see both of them have a bigger performance going into next week. Moving on, next game. Cowboys, Bears. The Cowboys offense has been up and down this season. Against the Eagles, they looked great to start, and then they fell off. Against the Giants, they started off slow, but then they picked up. What kind of Cowboys team are we going to see? And for the Bears, we saw the same thing. Against the Vikings, they looked amazing in the first half. The fact that it was 10-6 going into halftime was absolutely nothing short of disappointing. And they still found a way to lose the game. The Chicago Bears have been up and down as well. I want to know, what Cowboys team do we see? Or is their offense going to explode again? Or are they gonna take a step back a little bit? For the Bears, I want to know, do they get their first win of the Ben Johnson era? Do they get their first win? Caleb Williams needs to show that he is the elite quarterback that Bears fans have been hoping for. Ben Johnson needs to show that he's capable of winning a game against a team that is able to slow them down. Prove it as a head coach. Prove it as a quarterback. Prove it as a team. I want to see Cowboys, Bears. Who steps up? Who shines the most? And lastly, it's a primetime game, but this might be one of the best games of the season. Lions, Ravens. Ravens, week 1 against the Bills, was one of the most electric games that we have seen in ages, at least in a week 1 game. And the Baltimore Ravens looked so phenomenal. And the Lions in week 1 played the Packers, and they looked atrocious. In week 2, for the Lions, it was a complete opposite. They faced off against another divisional opponent, the Chicago Bears. And what do? They put the hammer down. The Detroit Lions put up 52 points against the Chicago Bears. Their offense looked exactly like what we thought their offense was. Amon-Ra, 3 touchdowns. Jared Goff looked amazing. Their bounce-back win was phenomenal. The Ravens played against the Cleveland Browns. They won that game. I don't need to talk that much about it. Lions, Ravens, these are two teams who last year, people had been predicting the two of them to play each other in the Super Bowl. It didn't happen for either. They both lost in the divisional round. But both of these teams are absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so excited to see who is going to prove to be more electric when it matters most. Who is going to prove to have the better offense? Because we all know at the end of the day, these defenses are good, but their offenses are great. And I want to see, does Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, do they have enough? Or do the Detroit Lions, filled with playmakers all around, do they have enough? Which team comes out on top? I want to know, and I know you want to also. And that wraps up today's show. This season so far has been nothing short of incredible, spectacular football, and I know we're going to have a long, long season full of it. Stay tuned each and every Monday for SportChaser. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and stay tuned throughout the week because I will be posting the segments throughout every show, and be looking forward to the future episodes because I have some big things planned, and I hope you're going to enjoy because it's going to be a tremendous year. I'm so excited to be back in the booth, to be providing content for you guys once again, and also providing content for myself. Like, this is fun. I enjoy this. But that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. If you're here right now, subscribe, like, comment, any questions, anything you'd like me to talk about in next week's episode. Stay tuned. I'll catch you all later. Peace.